Today we have Dr. Katie Deming joining us from the beautiful Prana Island Resort. Well, she is in Oregon, so hopefully soon we'll get to be here in person together. But I had the immense privilege of doing a water fast under the expert guidance of Dr. Katie, and I have literally drank the water aid instead of the Kool-Aid, and I want to spread the word, and I think that this is a beautiful resource that everyone could benefit from. There's an amazing space that you hold, Dr. Katie, for us that is so special and unique and very safe. And so I want to thank you for guiding me and then the opportunity to be able to share this with people. So, the background with Dr. Katie is she is an integrative oncologist practicing in Oregon and now an expert in water fasting. And the beautiful part of doing a water fast is it clears toxins, it resolves disease symptoms, and it can press the reset button on our nervous system. I believe that whether someone has been diagnosed or they're wanting to prevent the activation of disease, they can come and do a water fast to tap into the body's innate capability to heal and then come about with homeostasis in a really short period of time. And I joined you in a preventive measure, and out of it, actually experienced a spiritual quest, which was really incredible. And I think one of the funniest parts is I said, I'll do 7 days with you. And so people think 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, 30 days, 40 days. And I'm like, if you think about our lifespan, this is such a short blip of time. And you said to me, Mara, you're going to do 14 days, and I guarantee you're going to want to go longer. And you are so right. So I want to let you kind of take the floor and share your background and how this passion came to you to do, because you're so brilliant at it.
Well, thank you for having me here with you, Mara. And I am very excited to come down to Prana. I know that that's going to happen soon. And also, it's been a privilege to work with you and get to know you so deeply through your experience of your water fast. And like you said, I'm actually a radiation oncologist by background. That's my training. I trained at Duke University. And then I practiced for 20 years as a radiation oncologist and healthcare leader, and then had a transformative experience similar to a near death experience that really made me realize that Western medicine was treating symptoms and not really healing people. And that led me out of Western medicine and into more of an integrative practice. And really, my heart has always been with people who have cancer because I feel like cancer is truly a transformative experience. And for me, it's such a privilege to walk with people in their healing journey. But when I left Western medicine and I started my integrative practice, it was really holistic. So, emotions, mindset, spiritual alignment, and obviously physical healing as well. And one of the tools that just came to the forefront as the best way that I could move the needle with people was water fasting. And so I've been water fasting people for about, it's only been about a year and a half, but the experience has been incredible. Where, like, my first two clients that fasted with me had their tumors go completely away. One was metastatic breast cancer spread to the brain. She had a brain tumor that just completely disappeared after a water fast, which I'd never seen anything like that in Western medicine. So I was shocked that you could achieve that with water.
How long did
And then
how long
oh,
did
go
she
ahead.
water fast with you for that?
So that was a 17-day water fast, my first client.
That's amazing. In 17 days.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then my second client fasted 14 days. She had breast cancer. She was supposed to get a mastectomy. We did the fast. She went to get her mammogram and the tumor was gone and she didn't need a mastectomy. And so initially, I didn't really want to do it myself because I knew there were other centers that did water fasting. And so I was sending people to water fast because I'm like, obviously, this is a very powerful tool, but there are a few things that I realized about the fasting centers. And the biggest one for me was the refeeding. So with water fasting, refeeding is the most important part of it. It's actually the most dangerous part, and why most people should not fast on their own past 5 days is because refeeding system refeeding syndrome can be a potentially life-threatening complication of water fasting. And so the refeeding at most of these centers was plant-based. So they were refeeding on fruit juices and then tons of legumes and rice and all of these things that someone who is healing a metabolic condition like cancer should not be eating. And so for me, I started then fasting people myself so I could control the refeeding. But then I realized, wow, there's this whole opportunity when people are fasting from food that you can really create this profound transformation, which is what you experience, is that really it's a spiritual transformation, spiritual awakening that can happen. And we know this from every spiritual tradition that fasting is part of it. You know, Jesus went into the desert for 40 days. Buddha fasted for 40 days. These are things that every spiritual tradition incorporates. And so, what I found was that if I could fast people in the right setting and give them the right support, we not only could potentially make tumors go away, which is just incredible, but you can also bring people back to themselves on all levels, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And it's been the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. And I've done a lot of rewarding things, taking care of people with cancer for 20 plus years. This is, I said it to you the day that you were, came into the fast. I said, this is going to change all of your lives. I don't know how, but I can tell you that that is going to happen because I see it with every person who comes through this program. And so for me, this is just it's just a privilege to I'm not the healer, as you know this, you're the healer. Each of you are your own healer, but for me to be a guide on that path and help people bring them back to themselves is really the greatest gift that I've been given in my career.
Well, I can definitely attest it has been life-changing and a program that I will commit to with you for probably the rest of my life if I'm fortunate to do that with you. I would like it to be able to do it more often than I know is recommended because I just loved how I felt through it. And I said to my partner the other day, I said, look at what I gained in 14 days. Imagine the insight, the inner knowing, as you called it, this coming back to source, this idea that it's all innately inside of us. We don't have to seek outside of ourselves. How much more profound that can be at 30 days, right? And that was really scary to me when I first talked to you. I was like, 7 days. And you're like, no, you're 14 days, right? So I can't wait to do this again and support people just with the idea of it, right? I can't speak about it enough. I keep referring people to you because I gained so much. I joked with our group one day. I said, "Dr. Katie, this was a soul boot camp." Because I really came into this awareness, this beautiful calm and serenity about where my energy should be focused and where I can really start to let stuff go. Because I personally came to you at complete burnout. I mean, I was now not functioning, even though I've quote unquote lived a very healthy, holistic, integrative lifestyle, but I wasn't really inner connected. I was still seeking outside of myself. And I think one of the most beautiful tools that you gave us, which I would love for you to describe for people, was the photonic water. What that means, why we use the bottles we use, the color we used, and the words that we used, and that we cast those words into the water. That was I carried all of my water bottles, just so you know, home. I had to check a whole other bag from where I had been doing my water fasting because I was like, "These are now my babies. These are with me forever."
I love it. Well, we are bodies of water. Like our bodies are 99.9% water by molecule and 70% by volume. And water is, it's alive. Water is the source of life. And how a water fast is really an opportunity to cleanse the waters of our body, right? And so, and also by shifting our emotions, we teach people how to process emotions and let those emotions run through you and process through you rather than getting stuck so that you can lighten and you can clear your waters and raise your frequency through the water fasting. So one of the things that's really important when we think about our water is the water that we're bringing into our body while we're fasting. And it's funny because people are like, how complicated can our water processes become? And I'm like, it can become very complicated and I'm very bougie with my water because it's important, and the water holds memory and the water holds structure. This comes from the work of Masaru Emoto showing that emotions and intent and words and frequency affects the water. And then we're drinking that and we're bringing it into our body. So if we're doing everything to cleanse the waters in our body, we want to be really intentional about the water that we're drinking. So one of the practices that we do in the fast is something called photonic water. And this really combines the concept of sunlight and wavelengths of color and then intention. And the practice is pretty simple. You basically take a colored glass bottle. I wish I had my bottle here. I could show you, but basically, we take like liter bottles that are colored. And for healing, like just if you just want to take on like as a blanket statement, the color for healing is green. And it's the wavelength of with the sun coming through that wavelength of the color green glass. It's like a clear, not opaque bottle, no writing on the bottle because the writing actually can imprint the water. And so you take a clear glass green bottle, and then what you do is you fill it with water and you put a word on it that is meaningful for you with healing. So that could be just healed. It could be healed. It could be balance. It could be love. It could be any word that is meaningful for you in your healing experience. And so what I have people do is just write on like painter's tape and put that word on the bottle. And so you've filled the bottle with water, you've put your intention on it, and then you take that bottle and you put it out in the sunlight. And as you set that bottle down, you connect with the water and you set the intention of the word that you wrote on the water with your thought into that water as you set it out in the sunlight. And you leave it there for 8 to 12 hours for it to charge and then you drink it. And then that becomes healing water that is bringing water that is infused with your healing intention into your body.
So I loved this practice and I had 5 water bottles during my time with you and I would keep them for a week. And so then every Monday I would change them again. So I was with you for the 3 weeks. So I did 3 rounds. I've saved each of them. They went into my journal. But what was so powerful is my first few days, it didn't take long for my body to really start to get with the program, for lack of a better word. Um, let's say I put love on the bottle. And before I sipped, I would say, "Thank you, water, for nourishing and bringing me love." All right. I was still seeking out. So, like, the water was giving me love. And within maybe probably 72, 96 hours, I was then saying, "Thank you, water, for nourishing the love that is innately inside of me." And all of a sudden, I'm now inside, right? This innate connection was happening rather than pulling it from outside, it was from inside. And that's a tool that we can all use. It's so simple, right? The bottles are not expensive. The water is not expensive. And then the other thing that I love that I have that I want to show is the Analima wand. And with the water that I travel with my Analima wand now. Do you want to share a little bit about, because I learned about this from you?
Sure. So the Analema wand it has a mother water inside of it. It's a crystal wand that has water in it. And that water is called a mother water, kind of like when you have a homeopathy, there's the mother that you make the homeopathic regimens from. So the water in that wand is considered a mother water and holds very high coherence. And when you stir that water or that wand into your water or run the water, I like to just run the faucet over the wand as you pour it into your glass or bottle or whatever. It basically makes that water coherent. And I did an interview with the CEO of Analemma, Mario Brainovich, and the studies that they have on this water is so incredible, not only from agriculture. And that's where I really saw, because it's hard to know when we drink water, and you make the water coherent and then you're drinking it and you're like, I'm not sure if it's really having an effect on my body. But where I saw the effects was when I started watering my plants with it.
Ooh.
The plants just come alive in a way that is unreal. And that's where a lot of the research is actually showing using coherent water to water plants helps those plants flourish so much better than if they didn't not have that water, if they were watered with water that wasn't coherent. So, in addition to the studies with the plants, they also did studies with humans and showing that the brain actually that you get both hemispheres of the brain to come online when they did EEGs of children. They took twins, actually, identical twins, and they had one drink the water and another drink regular water. One had the enema water and one had water that was not coherent. And what they showed on these EEGs is that the brain function was so much more coherent between the two hemispheres of brain. So it's crazy. You think just water, but actually drinking this water that is coherent brings coherence into the body and really does change the functions, not only of the brain, but all of the cells in the body and helps the organs work more efficiently. So I love the NLM one. It's just an easy tool. Like you said, you can travel with it. It's funny. I got stopped going into Mexico and my partner was like, I think they're gonna like think that we're bringing in some kind of, bomb or something. It looks like, really
With the
I'm doing my
liquid.
carry on because I don't go anywhere without it. But anyway, it's an easy tool that you can just take with you and then you can use it to treat your water anywhere you go.
I think I love that you brought up watering your plants with this because I first learned about this and from the amazing doctor who introduced us of getting to be with Dr. Tom Cowan and that he was showing us the faucet or the hose that you use that he uses on his gardens in upstate New York and how he's like I don't have to water my plants as much because the water is that much more effective in a smaller quantity and frequency of time, and that just made so much sense of then what is coming on top of my body and then into my body, right? So I loved the photonic water, the glass bottles, the wand, and then I felt super supported from you because your very comprehensive, in-depth medical background, there was nothing that was gonna go unchecked with you. And so I learned about a lot of new devices, which I'm also going to use for the rest of my life, like the Keto Mojo, which I had never used before, and making sure I was staying in ketosis. Do you want to share a little bit about why it's so important? Like, I would think that maybe a lot of these other places you were referring people to when you discovered that the refeeding wasn't healthy, those recipes weren't of quality, they probably also weren't measuring like the ketosis and then how to support somebody through ketogenic diet programs for the rest of their lives. So that has been an amazing tool for me.
Yeah, so we use the Keto Mojo while people are fasting to track their glucose and their ketones. And the truth is that Keto Mojo is really helpful for tracking your ketones and your glucose, mainly as you're coming into the fast and then coming out of refeeding. And many of the fasting centers don't even use ketone monitors. They may use glucose monitors just to monitor, make sure someone's glucose doesn't go too low. But I like to have the information about both the ketones and the glucose just because within the cancer space and thinking about cancer as a metabolic condition, being in therapeutic ketosis is a metric that we're looking for to get people into. And we want to see that they've gotten in there. And then as they come out with refeeding, it can be a little tricky actually. And you're going to come out of ketosis initially with refeeding, but it's a way for us to monitor and to help people and metabolically what's happening in their body. How is the food affecting their glucose? How is it affecting their ketones? And, I'm not a big proponent that I think people should be on a therapeutic ketogenic diet for the rest of their life. But I think that understanding how your body responds from both a glucose standpoint and your ketones is really important to understand your metabolic flexibility to make sure you are getting ketones when you're fasting. You are able to get your glucose down. When you're eating, you're not having these big spikes. So for me, it's a tool that we use. Number one, to check that we're getting into therapeutic ketosis, but then for people just to learn about their body, to see what their body. And one of the most beautiful things is this, is that you'd think when someone's fasting and their glucose, goes down because they're not eating any food, that the glucose would be really stable throughout the fast, right? That you'd think there's no food. So, you're going to have some basal level of glucose and that's it. But what's really interesting is people will see how their glucose will jump around related to stress.
I was very surprised at my glucose levels.
Experience the future of wellness with Axiom H2 by First Alternative Therapies, now available at Prana Maya Island Resort in Belize. This advanced hydrogen therapy delivers molecular hydrogen directly to your cells, helping reduce oxidative stress and inflammation while boosting energy and mental clarity. Used by athletes, health enthusiasts, and those seeking full-body rejuvenation, Axiom H2 restores balance from the inside out. Visit firstalternativetherapy.com to get one for yourself. Or take a trip to the revitalizing Prana Maya Island and Resort in Belize and experience the transformative power of hydrogen therapy firsthand.
Yeah, so your glucose doesn't only respond to what you eat, it responds to cortisol levels in the body. And so this helps people recognize, oh, there's this connection between my stress, my sleep, and my glucose. And I think that's something that most people don't catch when they're eating. Maybe if they get like a different score after eating the same meal, they're like, why would that happen? But it's really clear in the fast that you can see how stress affects your glucose levels.
And that was 100% me coming into this with you. So this was probably the main tool I really needed to get educated on and apply to myself. I talk about this with my own patients all the time, but this was a part of I'm not walking the walk that I'm sharing the information about. And so I loved now actually applying it to myself to help balance my blood sugar, to balance my cortisol levels so that can be happy and energized and clear minded. And there's no more brain fog or crashing or this disconnect of being able to communicate with someone because of that erratic ketosis and blood sugar level. I think part of these tools is why I felt so safe with you, is it wasn't like, "Here's your water fast, good luck, maybe I'll check in once in a while with you," is there was very strong evidence-based medicine that you brought and shared with us, and you were so kind and patient of explaining things to us. Every day we had a check-in with you that you were touching base and explaining and educating us. I'm bringing it down to such simple terms because it's a mix of people who you're guiding, which is really beautiful. Um, I loved that our group was this intimate group of women who just so happened to all be healers. And one of my hugest other takeaways that I share with people who I'm trying to refer to you is you are going to create community so quickly. I mean, your other fasters are going to become family so fast because you're going through it. You have a like minded approach. And so, from the tools that you're sharing, from the Keto Mojo to the wand to the photonic water to then the community. And then I love the people that you bring in. Will was to this day, I will continue with Will for hopefully also the rest of my life. He's you can go a little bit into Will if you want, because I'd love to share his information for people if they were interested. But I committed to 2 therapy sessions with him a week. So I did 6 full sessions. And it was another level of mind, body, spirit boot camp that I did with him of a healing therapy. He does something called Psych K, right?
Yeah. So Wilhan, the primary modality that he uses is Psych K, but he also is quite intuitive and in healing. So with cancer, I would say 90+% of people have some emotional component to their illness. And what I found was that using conventional therapy is not a good idea when someone is already in a traumatic event like cancer and you're wanting to calm the nervous system. Getting them to talk about something and reactivating things can be problematic. And so, what Psyche does is it gets to the subconscious level, and it's really a subconscious healing tool. And it does three things really. Number one, it helps teach people how to process their emotions in a more fluid way by activating both sides of the brain through activating the corpus callosum. It also helps release traumatic experiences so you can release past trauma really quickly and really painlessly through just even a few sessions. And then it's a way to reprogram the subconscious mind. So those are things that um, for me, I found are the most effective tools in healing emotional trauma while you are trying to heal. So for me, that is something that's become, it used to be when I had my private practice, it was required. Anyone who worked with me, it was a requirement that they work with Will. And then in the fast now, it's optional if people do it. But I can say the ones who get the best results are the ones who are also working with Will.
Yeah, I certainly felt that way, and that's why I committed to the sessions with him, um and why I'm gonna continue with him because, like you said, it works so quickly, and it just makes what he does makes sense. And we don't pick up what we call the luggage after that therapy session. These tools I was staying with my mom at the time in my childhood home in Vermont, and so I was using the tools I gained from him in lifetime while I was navigating sharing space with, my mom and in my childhood home. So it was beautiful. It was right in front of me and very accessible to do. One of the other favorite people that I brought in or that you brought in that I got to get to spend time with again was Monica Corrado, who you did the menus with. Monica has been here at Pranamaya with us. She's done cooking classes through her GAPS diet focus and specialty, and her menus were just so delicious. They were so simple the way she presented them, the way you laid out your food guide. I am such a food is medicine person, and this has given me yet another tool that I didn't have in my own kit before. That's a simple tool. The way you laid it out, and with Monica, I I can't say enough about how beautifully you did that.
Yeah, I think, the food, the refeeding is the most important part, right? So from a safety perspective, but also you have a huge opportunity when you water fast to teach people how to nourish their body moving forward, right? Because going on to my food guide from like eating regularly might seem really restrictive. You look at this food list and you're thinking you're taking away a lot of the foods that I like to eat. But the truth is our food guide is just an anti-inflammatory food guide. It's designed to reduce inflammatory factors that are in our diet like lectins and oxalates. It's low glycemic. And we're also teaching people about the importance of animal fats and animal proteins. And if you think about it, plants are cleansing foods, right? That's why people do juice cleanses. That's why people use plants to heal, is because plants are healing from a cleansing perspective. But when you've just done such a deep cleanse, like a water fast, you don't need more cleansing. What you need is rebuilding. And that is really what the food guide is about, is how do we bring in the right foods to rebuild your body in the way that is going to maximize immunity and immune function and help your body function at its highest level. So very intentional about bringing in fermented foods and long cultured dairy so that you have the right microbes in your system. We do kefir so that you're getting that good yeast to balance out any of the bad candida in your system, and really just looking at a way of how do we help humans eat in a way that humans were designed to eat, which I think we've just gotten away from that, right? So it's not actually really complicated. The way that we teach people to eat is the way our ancestors used to eat. Like maybe our great grandmothers knew how to do all this stuff because they didn't have refrigeration, right? So they were fermenting food just because they needed to do that. But it was naturally supporting their microbiome and their immune system. So that is really what Monica and I have partnered on, is how do we teach people how to feed themselves and nourish, like truly nourish themselves, because most of us are undernourished in the modern world, which is a shock, right? Given how much food is available,
Yeah.
we're really undernourished in all the ways.
I came into this undernourished, right? I was more plant-based. I drank a lot of water already, and I knew cleansing water properties, right? I wasn't just drinking out of a tap idea. But this really reprioritized. I love to cook, and this gave me some back to my roots that I didn't even know were really in my roots, right? Like, I made my own cheese. I made my own whey, thanks to you and Monica. I've been inspired. I'm gonna be making my own yogurt when I get back to the States. They're already also doing that here at Prana. We already serve bone broth that is sourced from A2, grass-fed, humanely raised, organic, loved animals. The chicken that we're sourcing is organic, and we have focused on women run businesses. So our chickens are happy and healthy chickens that we're getting, the eggs. So every morning I'm having my cup of organic bone broth. I'm cracking an organic egg in it. And then I thought of you this morning, Dr. Katie. I even had some grass fed A2 organic, pretty raw, medium rare to raw beef with eggs this morning. And because I'm not normally a breakfast person. I normally wait till noon and the list goes on, but I was like, she's gonna be so proud. I got so much protein in this morning.
I love it. I love it. Well, and that was one of the things that you committed to, right?
Yep.
Is that you've done all this deep work of cleaning yourself out, that you committed to getting that protein and making sure you're going to nourish your body and rebuild it, right? So that you don't get burned out. Because it's important, especially you mentioned this earlier about how maybe you knew some of these things, but you weren't doing them. Well, part of it is because you're such a giver, right? Like you are always giving. You're always looking to how you can serve other people. And what this time did was it gave you a chance to really focus on healing Mara. So Mara can then help others heal, right? But until you're full, you can't do that for other people. So I am proud of you. I'm so happy to hear that you're eating and you're keeping the promise to yourself more than anything.
I think, well, thank you. Thank you. It was a spiritual quest and a mind body soul connecting point, and it's continuing. Like the lessons are continuing, they're carrying forward. I think one of the coolest things while we're talking about protein is I want to talk about muscle mass, in particular lean muscle, because I think there's this misguided idea, and I came into it with this ignorant point of view, is that, oh, I'm going to lose all my muscle because I am hedonistic about working out. I have to do it every day of some modality. And I thought, I'm going to lose all my muscle and I'm going to look like I've wasted away. Both one of the other women and I maintained, and I know she actually gained lean muscle during this. We just lost visceral fat. And so I went down a rabbit hole of really pathologically trying to understand this. And the idea that we have the brown fat cells, the white fat cells, this is where our toxins are stored. Our body innately knows to go for that junk that's being stored in our body and preserve the necessary things like muscles and organs, right? So I love that. So I'd love for you to speak a little bit more about the maintaining of lean muscle, if not even gaining lean muscle while you do this.
Yeah, so this has to do with the fact that once you've been fasting for a couple days, growth hormone comes online. And this is when you do a prolonged water fast, once you get that growth hormone to come on, it comes up and it stays stable. And what growth hormone does is it protects your lean body mass. That's all your muscles. And it does not want you to lose that muscle mass. And so I this was something I didn't know before I started fasting people. I was nervous that people were going to lose lean body mass too. And so what we've been doing is I've been tracking people, and I've had some clients who are super, interested in this, testing themselves before their fast. And then I had one gentleman tested before, midway, and then after. And what is really interesting is that lean body mass is preserved and maybe goes up, which sounds crazy. I'm not talking about the percentage of lean body mass going up, which makes sense, right? If you're decreasing the fat and the lean body mass is like going down, but not as much, you're going to have a shift in the percentage. No, we're saying actual lean body mass go up. Like that gentleman had his lower body lean body mass go up by several grams or while he was fasting. And then at the end, he literally had the exact same lean body mass, even though he had lost 23 pounds for the fast. And all of that had been subcutaneous and then visceral fat. And like you said, between the visceral fat and the subcutaneous fat, the body preferentially goes after the visceral fat. And that's the dangerous inflammatory fat that's making all of us so sick in the modern world. And so this is where I just think the divine intelligence of the human body is on display in a water fast because nothing could be more simple, more natural as a way for your body to heal. And it does this beautiful preservation of the muscle that is so important for us and for our health and vitality, and then goes after that dangerous visceral body fat. But this is something that really surprises a lot of people, and it surprised me too. But now that I've seen the data in my own practice, I also have seen there's data from other big centers, and they show the exact same thing.
It's amazing. I have been reading quite a bit about ketogenic through Ben Azadi's books, and he does a really good job of explaining a bit of this. I actually ear tagged one of the pages that I want to copy it and send it to you. I was like, oh, I want to share this with Dr. Katie, but it's so fascinating. Again, this in such a short period of time, this window of our entire lifespan, you can just press the reset button on your body and come into who you truly are, this inner knowing, this thriving, feeling lighter, happier, healthier, stronger, right? More in love with yourself, more in love with the people around you. It's like back into passion again. So I could talk to you forever. I truly miss you. So this has been so sweet to get to spend time. Before we say goodbye, I would love for you to just share maybe a few things that would be the greatest takeaways that you would want people to know about water fasting? Like, why should somebody call you and do this program with you? Because I can talk till, the sun goes down and the stars come out about this, but I want them to hear from you because you are the guide. You are the expert in this.
Well, I think that if people are looking for a natural way to heal themselves, water fasting is the most powerful tool that we have. And then I think when people think about that, they think, well, it's just drinking water. So why don't I just stop eating food and start drinking water and I'll just see how far I can go and how that goes. And that's the one thing that I would caution people about is that this is not something to embark on your own without guidance because number one, the refeeding is dangerous. And if you just stop eating, then you get to a point where you're like, oh, I actually don't know how to refeed properly. And then you're in a really tricky spot. But the other thing is this is that in the right container, as you've described, it can be a completely transformative experience. And I have so many people on my YouTube channel, they're like, well, I didn't have that experience. And I'm like, yeah, because it's a whole ecosystem of support that's been created, which is what you experienced. And we're not doing the healing, you're doing the healing, but we've created that sacred container to allow you to tap into that light that is within you and that calm and that peace. And for me, I mean, I'm dying to do my own, I want to do 14 days myself but I'm fasting people 24/7. So I haven't had the chance and I know that it's important that I have to stop. So maybe I can come down to Pranamaya
Anna,
and do my water
and
fast
we
down there.
can feed you on your exact protocol without you having to question where did this come from? How did you source it? It's all pure love here for you, waiting for you.
I love it. So, it's one of those things where I just say to people, if it resonates with you, if you feel called, you can definitely come on my website and see what's all about. And I have a little free class that you can watch and see that really describes the program. There's just so much that is in there as you have described, but it's life changing. And, I wish it on everyone because we all have this beautiful light and peace inside ourselves. And the world has us so busy running around that we've disconnected from that. And it's been there all the time. And my goal is just that everyone can come back to themselves and find that again.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your guidance, your expertise, your time. And I can't wait to see you down here at Pranamaya where we get to fill your cup back up.
I love it. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Mara.
So welcome.